Josh, you want to talk to us about some Gundam Breaker 3? Now, you played a little bit of that the other day. What's your thoughts on that game so far?
Okay, so I want to call to attention that while Gundam Breaker 3 isn't necessarily an RPG, it definitely has a lot of RPG elements to it. It's basically a
Tentacle.
hack and slash game, but it has, raising up stats, leveling up abilities, how going out in a party either with friends or NPCs to tackle a common threat. And with an English release coming out later in April, I believe, as of this recording, um, it's a big for Gundam fans everywhere. And just if you've been looking for a mecha game in general, uh, because none of those have really come out recently, it's a good place to start because Gundam Breaker 3 is all about freedom of customization. It revolves around building things called Gunplas, which are Gundam plastic model kits, and what a lot of builders like to do is taking parts from different Gundams and other robots and like putting them together to make their own thing. And that's known as kit bashing. So in this
Can I
game,
ask something?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm familiar with Gundam, but not
Hmm.
that much. So I
Right.
kind of see all these Gundam games coming out, but they kind of all blend together for me.
Hmm.
So like I didn't even realize. I don't even know. Like, is this game like new? Like, did it just come out in
Yes, it
Japan,
just came
or
out
and
in the
and it's like a
beginning of
PS4
March.
game?
PS4 and Vita.
Okay.
Yeah. So the great thing
And like
about these games.
what is the
Oh.
in the Breaker series, like you said, like
Mhm.
I don't know what the Breaker series offhand, but based on what you said, it's more like kind of like action adventure RPG kind of.
It's more of a hack and slash stage by stage, not necessarily like a big open world adventure game. It definitely has like a linear progression in terms of like stage to stage type of thing. And the core gameplay of it is kind of like Dynasty Warriors-esque with hack and slashing, but the freedom they give to you is like unlike any other. It's like kind of unparalleled with like the amount of freedom and options they give you, because there's some because you don't need to be a Gundam fan or know Gundam in general to really get into the game. If you just like giant robots in general beating each other up, the, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this game.
That
Uh,
sounds fun.
yeah, everyone loves giant robots. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
speeding each other up. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, a lot of people might be more familiar with like the Gundam Versus series, which is more like an
Yeah.
arena combat game.
Hmm.
So, what is Gundam Breaker? Is it more like a Dynasty Warriors game? Is that kind of where
It's
it
it's more like a
differentiates?
Dynasty Warriors game because the Gundam Extreme Versus series is more about 2v2, more akin to a fighting game type of arena style. So there's like really no customization. It's like you pick a robot in there, your partner picks a robot, and then you duke it out with this other two-man team, and trying to win over the other, getting their HP down and whatnot. This one's more cooperative. There's not really a PvP element in this game. So the core of this game essentially is you gather parts, you break off parts, literally break off parts in combat, and then there's a when parts break off, there's a chance that you might get that part as part of your inventory. And if you break enough parts, like say if you break off the legs, there's a chance to like instant kill the opponent, just like stab like your melee weapon into the robot to instantly kill them.
So rather than just attacking mindlessly, you're trying to target specific areas of your enemies,
Yeah,
basically.
because there's like three gauges when you encounter an enemy. There's like one for their shield because they can block. You can you obviously guard break them. There's their main health, and then there's a yellow bar. It's kind of like think of it like a stamina bar. So it is kind of like their resistance to break off parts. So once that stamina bar is gone, you can go wild on like breaking off parts and hopefully getting the legs up. Because there's not really a target reticule that like specifies which part you're going for. It'll always be random on like what part you'll break off. But it does it so frequently that you don't really worry about that.
So
So
it's like a more complex Muso game, kind of.
yeah, essentially, because
Typical.
when you're building a robot, there's so many things that you can add on to it because there's different parts of like you get a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, you put on the head, the body, the legs, the backpack, the arms, and then on top of all that, you have these other systems on it. Like you say you have a backpack that has a special property. Like in Gundam, there's these things called fin funnels, where they're like little beams that shoot out of you, and then like those little things that shoot out of you shoot beams independently from one another. So if you equip a backpack with that, you have the option to equip that on, and that'll be part of your move set. If you have like a weapon that has like say like an additional thing to it, I'm trying to think of a weapon that actually does. There are some weapons that have additional properties to them that like you can just hit them because they have like hidden blade attached. Or if you have arms that extend out, you can have the option to like extend out those arms and like they have a flamethrower at the end. Alongside that, you have like these special abilities too. Like some parts give you like a super or hyper mode because like in their respective series that they had the characters on them like had that. So you can like stack up all these parts and then all these different options become available to you, which really add a different dynamic to the game because you're essentially building the robot of your dreams, and they don't really give you much like limitations on that. So you're free to
So
go all
so
out.
so so some of the parts you get are like or directly lifted off of like a specific Gundam from like a
Yeah,
show.
all the parts that you get off of these are they're actually real model kits that were made.
Oh,
There's
okay,
yeah,
that's
so
cool.
there's these things called high grade and master grade, and just basically the scale of the models. Like high grades are a little bit smaller, master grades are much larger, and that's reflected in the game by master grades have a lot more higher stats to them. And so
So
when you build them, you're a lot bigger compared to your opponents.
so what's the new features that are in this? Of course, since it's obviously a sequel, what's the
Mhm.
new features in Gundam Breaker 3 compared to 2?
Okay, so in Gundam Breaker 3, it really, really expands the framework of what Gundam Breaker 2 had. Gundam Breaker 2 was basically, you level up parts and then you feed in like these little components into them to level up. In Gundam Breaker 3, it kind of opens it up more than that. So
Mm.
each part now has like a rarity attached to it. There's common, uncommon, rare, exclusive,
Is
and
it color coded?
legendary. Yes, it's color coded.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Yep, it goes white to green to blue to purple to orange. Sound familiar?
Yes. I like to hear
So,
that.
okay, so all these the nice thing about these rarities is now that you can like merge parts together, so like there are four different types of like combining parts. Whenever you uh, combine a higher rarity to a lower rarity, like it actually transfers that rarity stat onto like that one. So if you're doing like combining an uncommon part to a rare part, that rare status will go over to that uncommon part. And what the rarity does is open up more ability slots that you can put onto that part. And
Oh,
that
so it's like trade exchange kind of thing. Got it.
exactly. So, you can have all these different stats, like ones that like there's life steal. There's when you kill an opponent, it heals you. It could boost up your stats, whether it could be health or damage, or your reaction rate, which is basically like how quickly you target stuff. It's just a lot.
So it sounds like it's kind of the same base game, but it's
It
deeper mechanically.
Yeah, deeper mechanically. There's also these new things called builder parts, which are little attachments that you can put onto your Gundam on top
Yeah.
of all the shit it has on it. So like there'll be like a builder part that's like adds like big ass katanas on your back, and you're free to like tweak it however you want it, like the position of it. It's very very freeform in how you want to fit it onto your robot. So if you don't want like a part of it sticking out, you can actually like clip it into your model, so like only a certain part of it is sticking out, and whatever function it does, it can be added onto your move set. So those big ass katanas that you have, there's like gonna be an option for it either in your optional parts or your extra abilities that say, hey, you can use these in battle as well.
Oh man.
So you
So
can really big beefy things. The only thing that I will say that I would knock against it is the loading times in this, at least from the PS4 version that I've played, are a bit annoying because there's this new bounty hunter board that they added onto it, and it's a good way to farm the currency in the game and whatnot. But every time you load up the screen, it like kind of refreshes the terms of service onto the like behind the scenes, so it takes a while to load it up. So sometimes it could take a fair amount of minutes to just find like a bounty that you want to take on because that bounty has a part that you want and you want to try to tackle it on to get a chance to get that part to drop.
and obviously it's not going to be any better on the Vita because it's on
Yeah,
lower spec machine. So
yeah.
that makes
It's also the same for multiplayer too. Like when you're trying to connect and stuff, sometimes the loading times do stack on. I wish they kind of took a little bit of time optimizing the loading times in that game, but
That's annoying.
it is.
sounds like it
But
can really disrupt the experience. But for the most part, it sounds like it's more what people love, but more,
yeah,
especially for
and
that.
I hope that like it actually does like catch on because with an English version coming out in Asian territory, like hopefully it does get an official localization in North America and in Europe, because I think this is a game that like that hasn't really seen the light of day outside of Japan. all that often. Like it definitely harkens back to like those days of like Armored Core, a little bit of Front Mission.
I was actually thinking when you're talking about like getting new parts for like new machines, I'm like, man, I want a new Armored Core game.
Yeah, exactly.
A new
It's
Front
definitely
Mission.
like that. Yeah, but it's
So
up to 4 players cooperatively online. It's a blast, playing with friends on it and whatnot.
great. All right. Well, so it sounds like we're gonna have a video soon for Gundam Breaker 3. Is that right, Josh?
Yes.
Great. All right. So you guys can once again check it up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/rpgsitenet. Thanks a lot, Josh.
Thank you.